Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session on the art of career building and nailing your personal brand. I would like to introduce today's presenter, Ms. Madhuri Prasad. Madhuri currently serves as Vice President Human Capital at Stockard, a New York-based share trading platform. She is a versatile full-stack HR professional with experience across both established companies and startups. She is a HR leader who's passionate about developing people and building a culture of inclusivity, transparency, and ownership in organizations. An alumnus of Rajgiri School of Management in Human Resource and PSG College of Arts and Sciences in Psychology, Madhuri also holds certifications in gamification and employer branding. She's an evangelist of work-life Jenga and personal branding. She also conducts professional resume writing, copywriting, content, and editing servicing worldwide. A warm welcome to Madhuri Prasad. We are glad to have you present at the online Manipal Plus series. Before we start the session, I would like to request the audience to ask questions only in the Q&A tab. We will take them as we go. Also, to help us continue to make our programs better, we request you to please take the short survey at the end of this webinar. Over to you, Madhuri.
Thank you. Hello, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. Do we wait for 2 minutes or can I start?
We can wait.
Okay.
We can start, Madhuri.
All right. So good evening. I see it's a Wednesday and today happens to be the day I think Domino's has one-on-one free, etc. I still see a lot of people who've turned out. So thank you so much. I think we can warm up a little bit. So I'm going to be asking a few questions and like the team said, you can probably raise your hand or if not, just type your stuff on the chat box, right? So, well, let's begin. Tell me this, what do you think, what do you get when you cross a wannabe psychologist and a self-proclaimed human resource professional? Anybody? All right. So the Mad HR, for the unknown, that is my brand, the one I created for myself, by myself. And I'm really, really proud of it. So there is a deep and cosmological connection between my birth, my parents' decision to name me what they did, and my education and my profession. So my name is Madhuri Prasad. I did my grads in psychology and my master's in human resource, and then made the ultimate decision of joining an MNC in business development. So you see, I have the concept of MAD in my name, my education, my choices, etc. For over a decade now, I have been dabbling in everything, right from business development to marketing to content to resume to recruitment to human resource. And I also did a small-time gig as an RJ, strange but true. I currently head human capital at Stockard, which is an invest tech platform based out of New York. We help customers invest money in the companies listed in the New York Stock Exchange. Now, if you look at all this closely, there's a reason I'm giving you a self-introduction. If you look at all of this closely, there is nothing really fancy about any of this, right? I mean, all of us, I'm pretty sure, will have something or the other as a background. But what I did here is basically I created a story and eventually a brand, which is obviously why I'm talking to you today. I mean, online Manipal, the people there would never have known me if I was not a brand, right? I created my own brand, which is why I am here today. Right. So moving on. It's not moving. All right. So today we're going to be talking about three major things. The first will be your personal branding. The second, we will talk a little bit about the gig economy. And third, we will talk about a little bit about resume building. How is the way forward? What do you need to do, etc. Right? That is for the next 40 odd minutes. Right. Now let's dig a little deep into this whole personal brand. Right. Now tell me, at least raise hands and tell me, how many of you have a Facebook or an Instagram profile? Raise hands. I think.
I've never seen that ticker go faster.
Wow. All right. Now, how many of you are really passionate or wanting to have a career? $59, 63, 60 out of 177. Okay. Now, the most important question, how many of you are active on LinkedIn, the platform? By active, I don't mean have a account. I mean, how many of you look at LinkedIn, go through the news feed at least once in a day? Raise hands. Look at that, see? All right. So the reason that I'm asking you this is LinkedIn is one of the most powerful platforms that you can use. This is a note to yourself, okay? LinkedIn is one of the most powerful platforms that you could use when you are trying to build a career, okay? And depending on what you want to build a career on, if it's more technical, if it's more corporate oriented, if it's more startup oriented, etc., then LinkedIn is one of the best places to showcase your skills, project your profile, etc. Now, the artsy types, the ones who want to be an entrepreneur and you want to do your own stuff in terms of craft building or in terms of retail business, etc., Instagram and Facebook is the best bet. Okay, I'm just telling you all this so that you know it's important that you know all these things. Now, we are in an era where everybody wants uniqueness, okay? Be it a customized gadget cover or candidate for a role specific to organizations. It is the era of me. And it is more crucial than ever to have a brand of your own. Associating oneself with a great university or a huge corporate brand is no longer fulfilling, okay? In this digital age where the world moves forward towards creation of virtual personalities, we need to be more than ever focused on the importance of one's best projection to the world outside. Nobody would know you. It's only the way that you project yourself, right? Now, people, when they hear personal and branding in the same sentence, usually think it is to do with talking about oneself, going on and on and on and on about oneself, like I did in the beginning. But self-promotion is the key. That's what people think. But here is the bomb, okay, about personal branding. It is not about yourself. It is actually about how people perceive you. How do they think? What do they think of you? What do they think that you are special in? How are you unique? That is what personal branding is all about. In reality, personal branding is more virtual than physical. I'll explain. Okay, the whole physical branding part of it, your physical branding sets in once you have created a brand. Okay, people know you, people are talking about you, and people are looking up to you. They look at what have you been doing, what are you wearing, what are you talking about, what is your tone, how do you carry yourself, and all these things, right? But on the other hand, when you actually start building a brand, the virtual brand, it is on the internet. Thanks to the whole advent of the internet and technology advancements, it's all out there, right? Your social media presence, your profile, what are you talking about? And most importantly, it drills down to one very, very important aspect about why are you unique? What makes you stand out? What is your uniqueness? Okay. Or in the words of my HR fraternity, in a corporate environment, why should I hire you? That's the most important thing. Why? What are you unique? What is so unique about you? Why should we take somebody like you? What makes you stand out from the rest of your peers? That's what personal branding is all about. Now, what do you think is the ultimate weapon in landing that dream job that you've always wanted, right? What do you think is the ultimate weapon? Is it a great CGPA score? Is it a degree, a not so high mark degree from a great university, or a professionally fancy looking resume? What do you think? I think you can. Knowledge, spoken English, okay. Personality, go on. Recommendations, referrals, skills. Yeah, I think that's where this is the most important thing. Attitude, all of this is what builds your personal brand. Everything that you have mentioned right there is really what makes a personal brand, and the personal brand stand out. Okay, so but the most important thing out of all this is that, from my own experience, I'm telling you, it is personal brand. I can assure you that you will land up in your dream job, and push the whole brand of yours will push you towards disruptive careers if it's a really well thought out personal brand. Okay. All right, I'm pretty bad at making presentations, by the way, so please excuse all my presentation skills. So, moving on to more, theoretically speaking, what is a personal brand? Now, Wikipedia defines personal brand as a conscious and intentional effort to create and influence public perception of an individual by positioning them as an authority in their industry, elevating their credibility, and differentiating themselves from the competition to ultimately advance their career, increase their circle of influence, and have a larger impact. Don't go by the definitions. It's not an exam. You don't need to mug it up. But in short and simple terms, it just means you. You are at the heart of your brand. Okay. Your personal brand needs to be everything about yourself. It should be led by your voice and ultimately be supported by an interconnected web of personality, passion, and interest, which is what this is what a humanized version would look like. I've done it using emojis because I want you to understand that a brand is more than just perception. Okay. And it is not superficial. It is what you create and what you endorse, which is why it is very, very important that you create your own brand. You can't steal it from somebody. You cannot copy it from somebody. It has to be done by you. Okay. And if you think that a language is a barrier, I can't write like this, or I can't make fancy stuff like this, there's nothing stopping you from learning. We will come to that later, the learning bit and all that. We will come to that a little later. Now, why should you consider building a strong personal brand? Ultimately, out of all the benefits, there are three major benefits of building an individualistic brand that features you, the best version of you. You will lead more. When I say lead more, people, when you have a brand, think that they know who you are authentically. And so they tend to follow you. And the more enthusiastically they follow you, the more followers you will get through word of mouth. So you will lead. Okay. You win more. How do you win more? So in all aspects of your life, during all the steps, there is negotiation. Okay. Right from getting your first salary, which is a slightly more, getting admission into a new college, or whether be it trying to win an argument with your friends, with your spouses, etc. It is truly essential to know what are your values and what do people value in you. How do people perceive you, right? And then obviously you earn more. Okay, earning is a huge part of your personal brand, just like how it is in brands in the real world. Okay, So according to Forbes, consistent branding, right, has seen to increase one's personal income by 10 to 20%, just because there are followers, just because there are people listening to what you're saying, what you're doing, how you project yourself, etc. 10 to 20% increase every year, more than your peers, by the way. Now, people cannot trust you if they don't know you, right? And this is exactly where branding helps. It makes you visible to other people, to people who don't even know you for that matter. In today's competitive world, you have to be unique and authentic to stand out from the rest. Okay, I have two kids, or rather we have two kids, and I love telling them stories. Okay, and your Hotstar and Netflix and Amazon Prime are all about true stories and based on true stories, etc. So here I'm going to tell you a little story that will reinforce what I have just said, and why is it that personal branding is very important, and also why it shouldn't just stop at a dream job. You can't just stop your whole branding exercise just because you've got into the organization of your dreams. Now, I run a company of about 100 odd employees, and March, April, as you would all know, are the months that people mostly look forward to. It's appraisal time, right? Now, incidentally, last year, one of our employees was a young manager in, I think, the market research department, uh, with a prestigious MBA, by the way, was turned down for a promotion. When the employee asked the supervisor about the decision, the boss replied, "Nobody knows you. Nobody knows you exist." Right? That came as a surprise to the employee, because this employee had received regular praise for all the strong reports and deep insights that the employee was providing. The employee thought that everybody in the organization knew everybody else. It's a small organization, right? And the employee thought that, oh, I'm writing all these reports, it's my name out there, so people should know who I am. But what he found out was that the senior managers at the decision making table had no idea of what he stood for, what was his values, what is it that he stands for. You can write a report from anywhere, you can write a report from any perspective, right? It can be an XYZ perspective, it can be a consultancy perspective, anything. But what is it that he or she stood for is something that never came out, because unfortunately he never knew what personal branding is all about and how to make the most of your personal brand. He wrote really well and he had really great insights, but unfortunately it did not work. So you see, the employee made a mistake that many of us experience early in our careers. You guys are just beginning, so this is a very, very valid learning point for you. We believe that our efforts, education, performance, reference, etc., are enough to outcompete our colleagues and secure the advancement opportunities. We overlook the value of actually building a personal brand. I hope you now understand about why we should have a brand, or why is it that we should build a personal brand. Now I'm going to help you. I don't know how many of you actually do have a personal brand. If you do, great. Okay, I'm really, really proud of you, because I never created one until I had a lot of years of experience to my credit. But if you have, then I'm really, really proud of you. Okay, for those who do not, or those who have no clue and is hearing this for the very first time, I'm going to help you quickly, create a brand. I'm just going to help you out in, what are the steps in creating? What did I do when I started? Sorry. Right. So we will begin with what drives you. Now, I'm sure you've been asked this question multiple times, especially if you are an MBA grad. This question should generally come. What is it that drives you as a person? I mean, I don't want you saying things like, I like to sleep late, that's what drives me, and not those kind of, I like to eat, I like to go to office because I think there'll be free snacks. I'm not really talking about what drives you that way. What I mean is, what is that one thing that you chase? That you chase? What is it that you aspire? What what it can be for, see, for most people at this age, it's generally money. Let's be very honest, right? um does money motivate you? Does money drive you? Or is it the appreciation that you get when you do something, when somebody tells you, oh, you've done a fantastic job? Is that what you desire? Is that what drives you? Or it can be just an acknowledgement. Oh, I saw the thing that you made and I think it looks pretty neat. Just that acknowledgement might drive you. What is it that drives you? And that is something that you should be really clear with even before you start a branding exercise. What do you want to get out of this whole exercise that you're doing? What is it that you want to get? Then the second most important thing, it's always best, that you analyze yourself. I know it's fancy and everybody talks about these things. Analyze yourself, write down your strengths and weakness. It'll help you during your interviews. But the fact is that the more you understand yourself, the more easier it becomes to actually create the brand, because it's most authentic when it comes from you, right, as a person. So you need to really understand what are the strengths, what are your advantages, and what is it that you're weak at. Okay, why the strengths? So that you can build it. You build on those competencies, you build on those, and it can be anything. I'm not even talking about the education part of it. I'm talking about any skill set that you have. It can be soft skill. Are you a good leader? Train to be a leader. Learn, gain more skills so that you can actually become a leader at a very young age, right? Do you love to write? If you love to write, is that what you're skilled at? Use it to your advantage. Start writing about yourself, your experiences. Tell the world what you've been doing, right? If you talk about weaknesses, you need to understand what is it that you need to build more. Okay, everybody has weaknesses, all of us have weaknesses, right? But there is something that you need to know. What is it that I am weak at, and can I upskill? Can I skill? Can I get skilled in that? Can I learn something? So these are things that you need to do, and you need to understand that and write it down so that it becomes easier when you build the brand. What settings do I work best in? This is actually very important when you are talking about setting. If your drive or if your goal is to create a brand in order to get into the company of your dreams, get that dream job, what settings do you work best in? Now, there are multiple factors that drive this, right? There are two kinds of people. There are individual contributors, or ICs as we call it in our fraternity, and there are team players. First of all, which one out of this is you? Do you like working in a, in a restrictive, in the sense that it's just you and you get to make the decisions, you are the only ultimate decision maker? Or do you like to work, talk to people, team player? Do you like to be around people? Do you want to work in a team? How is it? What is it? What settings are you most comfortable? Some people need micromanagement, right? And they need their managers to keep coming on their back, and or they like to go back reporting to their managers saying, I like to do this, you know what, I did this, you asked me to do this, I did this. Are you that kind? Or are you the kind where you want your managers to put just the task on you and then just leave you to do what you're best at? Are you that kind? What kind of a culture are you trying to imbibe? What kind of a culture do you want to get into, right? These are another set of things that you need to think about. Like I said, especially when you are planning to make that brand in order to just get into your favorite company or the favorite job. And otherwise, as entrepreneurs as well, there is something that you need, this is something that you need to understand so that you can build your own company. What is the kind of culture that you want to build for your own company, right? In what environment do you perform best? Is it under stress? Some people perform really, really well under stress. Some people just stay, put, they just can't do anything when they're under stress. So you need to figure out what is it that, which environment, what kind of a setup will you be more comfortable working in. The next one, again, if you are working, if you plan to work as a an entrepreneur, or whether you want to work in an organization. What is the industry that you find interesting? And this is again very, very important when you're creating a personal brand. Why? Because when you post on social media, which is obviously how you interact with people, there will be specific to industries. There will be things specific to industries that you will keep posting, right? And this is the reason why you need to understand, and it can be multiple domains and industries, by the way. It doesn't need to be just one. It can be, I worked in multiple industries in my career, okay, and there is no favorite as to which is now these days. There are a lot more. So in my case, when I passed out, which is pretty old, there used to be manufacturing, there used to be healthcare, there used to be IT, and I don't know, hospitality, I think retail. Yeah, these were the major ones. Now if you look at it, in IT itself, there is ed tech, fintech, wealth tech, insure tech, I don't know, hospital tech, and so many things, retail tech. There are so many different industries and domains. So you need to be clear as to what industry or what domain you want to actually get into. The fifth one would be, where do I want to be at the end of my career? Usually careers are about 30, let's say. In this age, I think by the time you guys start working, your career span would be somewhere around 30 to 40 years. That will be your ideal career span. You want to make all the money before the 30 or 40, between the 30 and 40 years. So what is it that where do you want to be at the end of your career? Is it money? Are you looking at money, or are you looking at retiring from a really great company as the CXO or whatever? Do you want to build a business which gives you, money, gives you returns even after you retire? Does it give you returns? Where is it? What is it that you want to be? And where is it that you see yourself? This is the typical HR question that everybody asks during interviews. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? I stopped asking that question post-COVID. I mean, it's really, really funny when you ask these questions now. But that said, when you're building a personal brand, you need to understand, where is it? What are you building towards? What are you trying to create here? And why, right? The sixth one is, it's a continuation to the previous question. What impact do you want to have? Do you want to gain more money? Do you want to gain more followers? Do you want to just create a brand where people talk about you? People know you. Oh, Madhuri, yeah, I know her. Yeah, I know her. Or do you want to just make money, a good amount of money in your bank? Or do you want to create a social impact where people talk about you for doing social things, and people know you and they approach you for help? Is that what you're trying to create? Or is it this, that you want people in a particular industry talk about you? A very, very recent something that I just saw this morning. I don't know how many of you have seen. There is this comedian called Ayush Shraddha. For those from Bangalore, parts of Karnataka, you guys would be knowing her. Her name is Ayush Shraddha. And she creates these amazing videos on social media. This morning, she, I think, posted on Instagram that Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, the MD, CMD, whatever of Biocon, has tweeted her name and says that she's a fabulous video content creator, and that got to her attention, and she's elated. So is that something you're looking at, that you want somebody like a Ratan Tata or a Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw or somebody like that to actually take your name? Is that where the whole fun stops? So what is it? What impact are you trying to create here? And the last, but the most important bit, what else do I need on my profile to stand out? In the sense, like I said, the whole era of me is about being really unique. Okay, it's about being consistent. It's about being unique. It's about being authentic. Okay, so what more skills, what more tools, what more certifications do you need to make sure that your profile stands out? people might say that, oh, certifications, what is a big deal about certifications? I mean, you just spend a few hours online and then you just get a degree. What people don't realize is there is a lot of learning that comes with it. It's not about attending an exam, copy pasting an exam, nothing of that sort. It's about how much do you get to learn in that certificate, and how deep and how impactful is it going to be on your career, on your profile. That is the most important thing to note, right? So that is again something. These are the 7 points that you should keep in mind. You must keep in mind when you're creating your brand. Moving on. This is something closer home. I'm pretty sure all of you know who this is. Let's see how many of you are sleeping. Who's this? Oh, one guy is okay. He's not Zoho CEO. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. So this is indeed baijuravindra nayar. Okay. And all of you know who he is. At least I'm hoping that most of you know who he is. So baijuravindra nayar is the guy who built Byju's, right? The most valuable edtech firm in, I think, the world right now. Okay. It is the most valuable edtech company in the world. Now, how many of you here would probably know from where he began? I have a reason for saying his story out loud. How many of you know how he began? So I'll make this really quick. In 2003, Baiju was on a 2-month leave from, I think, a job as a service engineer or something. And he decided to help some of his friends crack the CAT exam. All of you, or at least some of you, would have cracked the CAT. That's why you're here. So the CAT exam is something he helped out with. He helped some of his friends, and he also appeared for CAT. Okay, and he was just helping some of his friends, and he got 100 percentile, and all of his friends got really, really high scores on the CAT exam. Now he was just helping. Again, according to his own words, he was just building his fan base. Right now, he scored 100%. He re-attempted the exam in 2005 without any preparation. Okay, and he still managed to score 100 percentile, and he got invited for all the IIM, ABC, all the interviews he sat for. He cleared all of them, but he decided that he's not going to join any of these universities because he realized what his potential is. He knew that he was good at something, and by then his fan base had also increased, right? And it grew purely through word of mouth. People talked about the way he took classes and how interactive it was. People talked about how it was not boring, and how he anticipated what questions the students would have in their minds while you are teaching a certain topic, and he would answer that very proactively. Okay, this is the way that people used to talk about him. So basically, his superpower, as we can call it, was his teaching skills and his ability. By 2007, this man had over 1,000 students, and to accommodate a full hall. That's how he grew. And I think post 2007-8, they decided that he was basically traveling across cities, and he just couldn't do it. And then they decided that maybe it's time to build a platform, right? So this is how powerful a personal brand can be. Byju's was a nobody in 2003. Nobody knew him. 2003-4, but look at what it has made him. Look at what he has got over the last 17-18 years. And this is exactly what the power of a personal brand is. I hope it makes sense. Now, moving on, this is something that is again very, very close to me because I am still a part of the whole gig economy. Now, gig economy, if you see, okay, before that, quickly raise hands. How many of you are planning to be entrepreneurs? Oh, that's me, sorry. Okay. And why do you want to be entrepreneurs? If you could just quickly tell me in the chat. All right, Ayush. Quickly, just tell me, why do you want to be an entrepreneur, Ayush? Ambition, solving problem to build one's own brand. Chafuta, you're not sleeping. To be myself, independent, passion. Okay, because I want to make some difference in the world. Okay, all right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, most importantly, that's just it. In reality, nobody really likes jobs. The mundaneness, the boredom, the rigidity and hierarchy. I've been a part of this economy for as long as I can remember. Okay, which brings me to the aspect of gig economy. Now, there are two aspects to the whole gig economy. Number one, according to Wikipedia, again, the gig economy is a labor market with a strong emphasis on short-term freelance and contract jobs, which are completed by people working as individual operators as opposed to full-time employees. So if you are a company and you're running a company and you want to hire somebody, ideally the ideal scenario is that you just ask the hiring manager to do a couple of interviews and then hire the best candidate. Now, what if you have a pool of people who are specialized only in that particular skill that you're looking for? Wouldn't it be much easier for the HR like us and for the company? So yeah, now where did all this begin? In 2007, when the recession hit the world, the global finance crisis fundamentally changed the way businesses operated. Companies of all sizes began prioritizing agility, preferring to access resources that needed, preferring to access resources when needed instead of making full-time hires. Therefore, obviously saving on your overhead costs like office space, benefits, and even training for that matter. Now, about a decade back, okay, technological advancements and evolving business models led to the emergence of aggregators and digital platforms. A normal driver working with a small cab service, right, across states across the country, could now connect with more customers via apps like your Ola and your Uber. I mean, really imagine, no? When earlier, at least when I grew up, we used to have a taxi stand close to the house. And if you wanted to go somewhere far, we would just call him. So imagine the time loss for that particular cab where he's actually waiting for people. There are other people waiting in other parts of the city, just waiting for a cab to pass by, waiting for an auto rickshaw to pass by. And here this man is sitting absolutely clueless. So imagine what kind of a technological advancement that was. Now, even your pure hitchhike, ride hailing on all these streets is replaced now with all the clicks on your mobile phone. Haggling over prices when you go, all the girls would know. Sorry, I'm not being gender biased, but generally girls do all the haggling. Let's accept it. So girls, when we go out to shop and stuff, you want to haggle, but now you don't even have to do that. You have apps that tell you what is the best prices available, and you just have to go tell them, "Bhaiya, ye mujhe online mil raha hai. Aap doge?" Simple, right? Now, so basically all these advancements changed the concept of everything from fixed working shifts and in some ways reduced control that was there by the bosses, right? According to the latest economic survey of India, India has emerged as one of the largest countries for flexi staffing in the world. Globally, the ILO, the International Labour Organization, reported a 5-fold increase in the number of digital labor platforms with just the last 10 years. Like I said, it's a huge advancement in our era, right? Now, the future of every business, you would know, is technology. It really doesn't matter which industry you serve in. If you don't upskill yourself, you will bury down under the competition. This is something that I want you to note. All this means is that skilled individuals are in high demand in a gig-based market, which is what we are in right now. You see, just as wealth perpetuates wealth, skills also do the same. See, and if you ask me, the gig economy is not really a new concept. Okay, earlier we used to call it as, freelancers, independent contracting, temporary contracts, short-term agreements. All these are, like I said, it's just freelancers. It's just that the whole freelancing concept, it has just skyrocketed now. And as an HR professional and a gig worker, I have always supported the gig economy, always. People have been working gigs over the years, but today, when I'm talking about the gig economy, I am specifically talking about new age technology enabled, highly skilled kind of work. All right. Anybody can be a human resource professional. Anybody can be a marketer. Anybody can be a salesman. But how deep can you go into each of these areas? Business development has multiple facets. There is B2C, there's B2B2C, there's B2B. There's so many facets. In marketing, you have offline marketing, online marketing. In online marketing, you have SEOs, you have performance marketing, campaign management, and the like. So each of these, all these, the major skills that we used to have now have branches and roots under them. Okay. And as a freelancer or a professional, you can get more work and more pay than you would ever get being an employee, just an employee at another company. However, the most important thing to understand out of all this is that you're not the lone wolf. You're not the only person in the market, right? Companies and businesses are looking for ways to cut spending and spend more time growing their businesses, more money growing their businesses. But we also understand that it is very hard to find skilled people on path-breaking new technologies. And therefore, the employers are more flexible about how they engage these gig workers who have these skills. This gives a better bargaining power to a person when speaking to a potential employer. So now, for example, imagine that I'm running a company and you are really skilled at SEO. Okay. And you come to me saying that, you know what, dude, I know you have a job opening in your company. But you know what, I have done this. And you say like 3-4 certifications to your credit with SEO, and you have worked on it as well. Obviously, your bargaining power is more. And I want that skill. So I will just give you what you ask. If not exactly what you ask, I will definitely come close to it because I don't want to lose a talent like you. So as skills become more mainstream and commoditized, the skill holder will lose leverage. So it is always a first mover advantage, whether be it a product, an actual product or a brand, or your personal brand. It's always first mover advantage. Always remember this. Now, the second aspect of the gig economy. In order to get these gigs and develop a robust portfolio, you have to be in sync with the latest technology and developments happening in your field and industry. What is it, whatever industry that you're looking at, whatever domain you're looking at, you need to know exactly what is happening. What is the most recent development? The signs of its growing demand are already visible in the market. People are all, looking at, they're always on their news feeds, looking at what's happening, etc. Now, in the case of India, a large part of the gig economy, as we call it, end up being employed in lower skilled and low paid jobs just because of a lack of desire to upskill. Now, I have done SEO, so I'm going to just, I'm just going to be there. I'm not going to like learn anything more. What is new anyway? It's just the same old stuff. If you have this thought process, then I think that's it. We are done. Right now, the reason that I am taking this whole gig economy and all that upskilling on a serious note, as far as I know, in Bangalore, 6 out of 10 professionals have taken up courses in machine learning as part of their upskilling. They can be anything. I have interviewed a chemist, like a BSc chemistry person, who actually went on to learn AI and ML and have actually recruited people like this. People who have they have never done anything in the past during their graduation, who have actually learned new age technologies and snapped out of their problems and got jobs. Now, MBA, I think after taking up MBA after finishing their full-time MBA courses. I know folks who have been taking up niche courses like product design, product management, machine learning, and so many other things. There are so many venues, so many avenues in digital marketing, so many avenues in HR. And I know people who have actually understood. They have understood that learning new technologies is really an essential part of the gig economy if you want to really grow. Now, the reason I'm being an advocate for upskilling for new age technologies is that it helps an individual expand even your professional network. Owning a brand, I know the upskilling, the part that upskilling and all these things play in my line of business, right? Now, when you step into conferences, when you step into webinars, you acquaint yourself with different people. When you learn a new skill, you are learning, you're adding more and more and more agility, more and more learning into your own system. And that is exactly how you create a brand. Now, when you upskill to learn the latest technologies like analytics, product management, blockchain, robotics, data analytics, and AI, you become very agile. You can develop and quickly adapt to changing needs of the business, right? You can meet the demands of the market and assist in driving this change. This can exactly help you in being an essential part of the gig economy. It can open new doors for you in the industry and help you create a more robust profile, thus making you into a T-shaped person and eventually an X-shaped leader. Now, I will tell you more about this T-shaped and X-shaped people. Right. So I don't know how many of you are well versed. I'll just quickly take 2 minutes for this. These are various shapes that define a person's generally through a person's career. Now, this is the first one is a dash shaped person. The dash shaped person is basically somebody with, when you start your career, you're essentially a dash shaped person where you know something about a particular subject, but you don't have any specialization. You've learned marketing. That's it. You're done. Now you eventually evolve into an I-shaped person. An I-shaped person is somebody who has dwelled deep into one particular skill set, from that marketing segment or from that marketing skill. If you have learned something much deeper, it can be anything from performance management, campaign management, SEOs. What is it that you have learned really deep? That is what makes you an I-shaped person. Basically, jack of one trade, but master of one. Now, what most people or we recruiters, as recruiters, we would like to recruit are the T-shaped guys, the T-shaped folks. These are people who know like a series of things, okay? And they have built their capabilities focusing just in one particular item or one particular skill set. They might know HR, they might know marketing, they might know operations, they might know sales, but they have built something in HR. They have created that niche in HR. They have specialized in HR. Okay, this is jack of many trades, master of at least one. This is how we call it. And eventually, this is what most people aspire to be, a T-shaped person. Now, a T-shaped person, there are a lot of advantages to this. So basically, if you're working in a company and you've been doing the same thing for a lot many years, if you're a T-shaped person, you get the opportunity to move into something else, right? You get the opportunity because there are other things, you've done a lot of things in the past, I can go back to this. So it gives you more edge. It gives you a slightly more advantage. As a futurist, okay, who's helped organizations anticipate change for nearly a decade now, I have actually witnessed evolution from hiring employees who are specialists to recruiting those who are more generalists. Okay, I believe we are now in the cusp of a hybrid model where the most valuable employees are interdisciplinary in nature. As you know, while generalists know a little about a lot of subjects, And I-shaped employees are subject experts in a single area. A T-shaped person is a subject matter expert in at least one area and knowledgeable or skilled in several other areas. At the individual level, one can become more T-shaped by cross-training in areas that are adjacent. So basically, like I said, if you're a marketer, if you know a little bit of web designing, you know a little bit of HTML, CSS, you know a little bit of analytics, this can take you a really, really long way. So by gaining familiarity and fluency in adjacent topics, you will increase the breadth, okay, and eventually your depth in the same areas. Now, whether you want to develop technical skills or build cognitive skills, there are enough platforms right now on the internet that can help you gain the depth through certifications and programs. Coming to why do certifications matter? This is something that I've been talking about during the course of this webinar. Although the value of a traditional degree today is as strong as ever in the job market, new types of online credentials, okay, various certificates, micro masters, badges, etc., are playing a very complementary role in creating building blocks for newer and more affordable learning programs, and in effect building your brand. In my era, we did not have too many avenues to learn from. So I used to read voraciously, and I tried implementing whatever I learned in the companies that I used to consult for. Now, especially post the COVID, the whole COVID frenzy, the walls of schools and colleges, thank God, they don't have, there is learning that has been adopted by different using different methodologies. Now, online certifications are offering even more hybrid approaches to offer greater flexibility and exposure as compared to the conventional schools and colleges. Now, they provide you with very concentrated classes delivered in a very cost-effective and convenient way so that you enhance all your skills, right? Online certification programs facilitate a lot more attention from teachers and classmates, teaching very, very valuable skills and time management and self-discipline. Now, I will quickly just take you through, the do's and don'ts. This will be the last segment for you today. What do you do on your resume? What should you really be aware? The first thing is to save your resume in your name and the position applying for. I have received countless resumes that with a name just resume -1, resume -1. Who are you? If I need to quickly take it up, how do I even search for the resumes? Why should I take the effort searching the resume and saving it in your name? You should be the ones who are saving your resume with whatever position you're applying for. The second most important thing, have a summary, a concise one stating your skill sets, your experience and expertise. It should be one of the first things that go out on your resume. Ideally, one-page resume with a link to LinkedIn, which has all your detail. You can detail how much ever you want on your LinkedIn profile, but keep the resume concise. Keep it to a maximum of 2 pages. Maximum 2 pages. I'm talking about if you have like 5-10 years of experience, 1 to 5 years experience, keep it at 1, and then have all the details on your LinkedIn profile and give a link to your LinkedIn profile on your resume. Have a picture. Please have a picture on your resume so that people have a face to the name, right? And your contact details should be in the beginning of your resume, not at the end, not as a footer. I don't want to search for it when I'm looking at your resume. And the most important thing, because companies now have ATSs and all that, it's always important to have keywords, okay, on your resume, specific keywords specific to the job that you're applying for. The don'ts: do not have multicolored, multi-fonts resumes. It's annoying to the eyes, okay, and we'll probably just not even open it again. Okay, so have it very nice, have it in plain black, have a nice design. I don't mean color, design. Okay, do not have a weird email ID to go on your resume. Please avoid using very weird names. I don't even want to take it out. Have an email ID specifically created for jobs and careers, and use that on your resume at all times. And please keep checking your emails frequently, just as you check your Facebook and Instagram. Please do. Do not have any boxes and fancy shapes and stars and all that on your resumes. It's really irrelevant. Okay. And when you send it out to people, in all probability, it might get mugged up. If you have not saved it as a PDF, the whole thing will go haywire and you will not even be able to read. And that being said, always send your resumes in a PDF format. Always. Okay. And never send the resume without a grammar check or a cover letter. It's a little tiring to make cover letters for each jobs, but it's really, really important also to have your grammar checked and to have a covering letter. And the last but not the least, don't just add every skill that you know. I know cooking, I know traveling, I know horse riding. It's not relevant to the job. Stick to what your job requires and add as many skills as you can pertaining to the job that you're applying for. I think that's about it. Yes, I am finally done with my webinar, my presentation. Over to the questions.
Thank you, Madhuri, for this fascinating session today. I'm sure participants now understand the growing importance and need of personal branding and how it can change the way companies evaluate your profile. In an economy-going gig every day, professionals and workers operating as freelancers, it's critical to stand out from the crowd, and differentiation is the key. You have helped us by sharing ways in which one can do this, namely by having a good understanding of what one's strengths and weaknesses are, what one feels strongly about, what environment motivates one to give one's best, career goals one has set for oneself, the effect one is aiming for, and analyzing what makes one different from others. A way to do this is to upgrade yourself by adding relevant certifications and knowledge in areas of interest, both professional and personal, and strengthening knowledge and experience in core domain or skill to lead towards a T-shaped growth, a concept encapsulated well in a rephrased idiom. Be a jack of all trades if you must, but master at least one. And to end it all, and very important, draft a very professional looking resume.
Yes.
Moving on, it's time to address questions from our participants, with a note that we will try and answer as many as we can,
Yes.
depending on availability of time. Madhuri, can I just read out the questions to you one by one?
Okay.
Yeah. So I have one big question from Kavesh Ahuja. He says he has two questions. I'm currently working full-time as a senior data analyst for an IT consulting firm and also does part-time content writing, dashboarding, and spreadsheet automation. He's managed to pick up work via platforms like Upwork, but there's very high upfront fee to get such work. Therefore, given the situation, is it okay for him to mention his part-time skills or work on LinkedIn, given that he's already connected with senior leaders within his company? And to get more work, can it affect my current job? So where else can I seek more part-time work where I don't have to pay an upfront client acquisition fee? That's the second part of it.
Okay, I'm going to answer this in parts, like he has Kavish, hi. Right. Is it okay for me to mention my part-time skill or work on LinkedIn, given that I'm connected with senior leaders within my company? Why not? There is nothing stopping you. See, consulting is not a crime. And now the only part of it is in the offer documents that I generally send to my folks when I recruit for Stockholm. We say that we do not have a problem in you consulting or working part-time in another organization, provided that you are not working for a competitor, direct competitor, or anything remotely associated with what we do as a business. Now, have you signed something like that on your offer? Have you, first of all, have you read through the offer letter? That's the most important question, because if you have, and if it does not mention anything to do with consulting or work, there is absolutely no problem in putting it up on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, I'm not asking you to post saying that, okay, I am looking for gigs. There are other ways on LinkedIn in which you can tell recruiters that you're looking for a part-time gig. Just go through the help manual, just go through on LinkedIn and just type, your question, and it will get you the answers. You can definitely do stuff on LinkedIn without it being an actual post. Can it affect my current job? I answered that. Where else can I seek more part-time work where I don't have to pay an upfront client acquisition fee? Upwork is expensive. I completely agree. That's why I stopped using it. This is exactly where your network comes into play. Okay. If your company does not have a problem in you consulting, and there is no obvious statement on your offer letter, there is absolutely no issues in networking and asking your network. So when you come across LinkedIn or any job posting for that matter across any platform, the first thing that you need to do is identify people who are working in that company through LinkedIn. Okay, and approach them directly and give them your proposition. Tell them that this is what I have been doing, this is my portfolio, this is the things that I'm skilled at, what I do, but I want it to be part-time. Do you think we can work this out? I hope I have answered this question.
Okay. Kavish, we hope we have answered that question satisfactorily. Yeah. Moving on. Arnab asks, do we need to add hobbies in the resume? I think that's a traditional method.
Yeah. So if your hobbies have anything even remotely to do with the job that you're applying for, then yes, go ahead. It is also interesting if you have space on your one pager, or for that matter on LinkedIn, you can tell them what skill have you learned from that particular hobby. Stitching, for example, teaches you to be very patient and also teaches you to be perfect. Okay, these are things that you learn from your hobby. Hobbies are generally just taken for granted, and you say, oh, I love stamp collecting, oh, I love this, but actually you're building a skill. When you are learning a hobby or when you are doing a hobby, you're actually adding to your skill. You just need to identify what skill it is and put that on your resume. Simple. I hope I've answered your question, Arnav.
Okay, moving on. So Suraj asks, should we have two different social media accounts for personal and professional life?
Absolutely not. You live in India. You can have one account and you can talk whatever you want on that, provided you don't talk derogatory, you don't post derogatory remarks about any culture, any religion, anything of that sort. There is absolutely no reason that you should have two different social media accounts. Again, this comes back to the point of being authentic. If you need to build your personal brand, you have to be authentic. There is no two ways out of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Suraj, I hope that answers your question. So, so Sonia asks, just a second, please give me a second. How to build a resume if you are going for a job change? Like if someone is in teaching and wants to go in for finance or marketing jobs, how should one build a resume to get selected, or to, when you are starting afresh in a different domain?
You remind me of myself to 10, 12 years back. I was like you. I asked the same question, I think, to somebody whose webinar I attended, right? I like the question, and it's very personal for me because I personally have jumped from recruit. So I tell you, recruitment to business development to human resource to marketing to branding to human resource again. This is how my career path has been. And there is really, again, I'm telling you, gone are those days when people say, ki, oh, you were a teacher, you remain a teacher all your life. Okay, it only depends on how you project yourself. How are you projecting to the world that you want? Okay, you don't want to do teaching anymore. It's completely fine. You want to go into finance or marketing. Do you have the relevant skill sets? Are you gaining enough experience? Experience cannot just come in, okay, you give me a job, only then can I get experience. There are countless companies that can give you internships, and because you're doing them a favor, you're not asking for more money, but you're actually doing the work for them. So there are countless companies, startups especially, who will hire you even if you do not have experience, if you have particular skill sets. Okay, if you want to get into finance, you want to go into marketing, what are the different skill sets that you need in those particular areas? Finance is vast, marketing is vast. Which part of it, which specific domain of it do you want to get in? Learn the skills, implement them, apply them, go for internships, go for unpaid internships for all I care. Learn the trade and then put it on your resume. I'm pretty sure you'll go places. I did. Look at me.
Okay, Sonia, I hope that answers your question. Also, Mamta, I think you had a similar question. regarding a change from a textile engineer to an HR field. I hope that answers your question as well.
I told you about the chemist who became a web designer.
Okay, moving on. So how does one jump from an associate analyst profile to a managerial role? What else is required except for a number of years on the CV while making the first managerial jump?
There is no shortcut, if you ask me. I know you will probably come back and argue to me saying people get hired as managers and senior managers these days. Honestly, then what? I mean, you get hired as a senior manager or a manager in your first job. What is your growth pattern like? What are you going to learn? What are you going to do? How are you going to get promoted to a senior manager? That manager or senior manager will take another 5 years. It's actually, if you ask me, it's not the number of years. It's about how much quality is there in those years, right? So do you have, again, it comes down to, do you have the skill set to become or grow from an associate to a managerial level, associate to senior associate to a manager level role? Do you have the skills? When I say, again, let me remind you, I am not talking about only the technology related skills or the domain specific skills. I am also talking about people management skills, conflict management skills, team player skills. These are all skills that you need to have, especially when you're becoming a manager, which means you have to manage and lead people. Do you have these skill sets? If yes, and if people have complimented you on this, no, whether you have been an associate and an analyst for 2 years or 1 year or 3 years, speak to your manager, ask him or her, what is it that I need? Forget the years. What is the skill set that you're looking for me to become a manager? It's that simple.
Okay. Shruti asks, is it necessary to make changes in the resume according to the job that one is applying for?
Absolutely. No, see, it's a tedious effort. I'm agreeing to this. Okay, it's not a very easy thing to do, but it's definitely there is no one CV fits all. Absolutely not. Unless and until you're looking for, okay, I want to be HR manager. That's it. If that's the case, and if you're applying to only one particular role, one particular job, my job description for an HR manager may not be the same as a Flipkart HR manager job description. So it is extremely necessary to make changes to the CV and save the CV accordingly to what company and to what role you're applying for. Yes.
Okay. Om Agarwal asks, how can we enhance our soft skills like networking, public speaking, etc.? Or maybe to add to that, what soft skills are valued, in the workspace?
There are multiple platforms available these days to learn even soft skills. LinkedIn, I'm not being a brand ambassador for LinkedIn. I'm really sorry if I sound like that, but LinkedIn, you forget LinkedIn, YouTube has Instagram, and YouTube have so many videos which teaches you soft skills, not even technology skills, soft skills. Go learn them, look up for that, look at the videos, look at TEDx talks, look at Instagram profiles. There are so many people who create videos to develop these skills. So yeah, I think that's one way. What was the other question? Sorry, the second part of that question.
How do you look into networking skills, public speaking? Yeah, or basically other soft skills which are valued in the industry?
Valued in the industry, like I said, it depends on whether you're an IC, you're an individual contributor, or a team leader. So other soft skills will include your conflict management if you want to become a manager, leadership, of course, and then people management skills. These are most important if you're trying to become a manager.
There's a question from Suman Bandari. I have applied for BCA at Manipal. What are some suggestions that will help me in the real world? Madhuri, before you continue, I would just like to brief Suman as well as the other students here. Apart from the industry relevant curriculum that will help you develop the domain specific skills, Manipal University Jaipur also offers career guidance and development programs. So each semester we are going to help you hone those skills which you'll need in the real world, whether it's helping you communicate better, how to communicate online, how to present yourself, how to interact with colleagues, how to prepare for interviews, how to make the perfect resume. So all of these things, basic email etiquette, your business etiquette, everything is going to be touched every semester. So as you progress in your semesters, there will be specially curated programs that will help you become more viable in the job market. Madhuri, would you like to add anything else?
Absolutely not. Like I said, these are all platforms. I think if you ask for help, this is all available to you. That's it.
Okay, moving on. Sudhanshu has a question. If one wants to become an entrepreneur, how does the CV, how relevant is a resume?
Resumes will not be relevant at that point. Your personal brand will be relevant. What do you talk about on your public profile? Elon Musk today is more valuable and more followed than Tesla. Okay, closer home, I think Xiaomi, the guy Manu Jain, that's his name, he has more followers than the brand itself. So it's your personal brand, it's your profile. There's no CV there, right? If you're becoming an entrepreneur, if you have decided to become an entrepreneur, there is no CV. I mean, they would probably ask you for a CV when you go for webinars like this, when then you'll have to sit and type all of that. But jokes apart, if you're trying to become an entrepreneur, there is no CV requirement, but your profile on any social media platform should talk about you, should talk about what you do, what your skill sets are, what you value, and what you live for. That's all.
Okay, and one last question for the day from Rajesh.
Okay.
So he's currently working as a senior executive HR. He asks which skills are needed to get through to higher positions in an organization, and any particular certification will help to achieve this.
Rajesh, HR is now, again, like all other domains, all other industries, become very skill specific. Okay, I was a lucky one. I passed out a long before you, so then it is pretty easy for me. But otherwise, in human resource, there are different domains that you can do. There is recruitment, there is talent acquisition, there is performance management, there is compensation and benefits, there is L&D, learning and development, there is gamification, there's employer branding. There are so many different profiles, so many different types of HR managers. Big companies have one managers for each of these domains. Okay, so it really depends on what is it that you want to build your career in. Okay, and then get the skill set pertaining to that. When I say skill set, it's not just about getting a certification in that, it's about the learning that you get out of all these certifications, out of all the training programs you've attended. So yeah.
Okay, that's all we have time for today.
Okay.
Thank you again, Madhuri. It was great having you with us today. And a big thank you to all our attendees as well. It's been exciting to see the level of participation, and you've been a great audience. Before you leave, please provide us with feedback on this webinar by filling out the survey as you exit the session. For our students, a recorded version of this webinar will be available shortly on the student portal if you wish to view it again. You can follow Online Manipal on social media to stay updated on our programs and industry expert sessions. Thank you for attending today and have a good evening. Thank you, Madhuri.
Thanks.